now.
Okay. Thanks for having me tonight. Tonight I've got the post-bid packet for contract 2 of the water project. So if you recall, we were just here doing this for contract 1, which was the intake contract. Last Thursday we had our pre-construction meeting with the contractor, the village, myself, and our inspector for the project. So that went very well. Claude Curley with the Department of Health was also here, so he heard our plan for the project firsthand, and he was very pleased with what we've got planned. So our one takeaway from that meeting was kind of twofold, and it relates to public awareness and public outreach. First being, we've actually got a meeting Thursday at 9:30 with the yacht club. So myself and the contractor will be meeting with Justin Taylor at the site to just go over, what kind of space we're going to need, what disturbance it might be, and just so that he understands what he's in for this fall. It will be after the yacht club has closed for the season, so the impact should be quite minimal, but we just don't want any surprises. So we're meeting with him Thursday morning to go over that logistical plan, and then the other item that the contractor brought up was a laydown area for the intake. So the intake is a 16-inch HDPE pipe. So HDPE is high density polyethylene, and unlike traditional metal piping, which is bolted together, this is fused together. So it creates one solid run of pipe. To do so, they need a long area to lay that out and make that fusing. It's about 450 feet long, so the contractor's idea is to do that work on the shoulder of the Washington Island Causeway for two reasons. First is he needs a long run of space to do that work, and second is he needs access by water to grab the pipe and then drag it over to the site. The first thought was potentially Frink, but with Pumpkin Chunk in right around the corner, that was not going to be an option. So the next best alternative that they came up with was the Washington Island Causeway. So their plan is to do it on the shoulder and have that coned and marked, appropriately, so that it doesn't impact or impacts those folks as minimally as possible. And he's planning on doing that work in the next 2 to 3 weeks, probably 2 weeks from Monday, I would expect. So notice has been sent out to those residents so that they're aware. And we're just doing our best to make sure that everybody is up to speed as best as we can. So again, try to minimize those surprises. So that's the update on contract 1. The contractor is on pace to get the work done this fall, and then we may have to just wrap up in the spring. But as we'll tell Justin on Thursday, the expectation is that all that work will be done before Memorial Day, to limit the impact of the yacht club. So that's the update on contract 1. Contract 2, the pipeline contract, so that's the water main replacement throughout the village. So when we were bidding, we saw how numbers were coming back on similar projects, and I realized that there was an opportunity for the project to potentially be over budget. So what I did was I split out a portion of those quantities into what we call additive bid items. And the reason I did that was because we have that milestone to get the work done to support the Arts Center. So if the project came back over budget, we would have to then reevaluate if we want to increase the budget, reduce scope. All of that takes time. So in the interest of time, I broke out some of the quantities for those areas that were not going to be completed this year anyways, and put those in additive items so that we can add those on in the future as needed. So when I talk through the numbers here, I'm talking through base bid and additive bid, and that's that difference. So we opened bids on Thursday the 19th at 2. We received 3 bids. One was from Manfred Construction out of Westport, New York. One was Luck Brothers Construction. They've done quite a bit of work in the village. And then the other was W.D. Malone Trucking and Excavating. So the 3 base bids that we received, or the base bid amounts for those 3 contracts, Manfred was $5,206,266. Luck Brothers was the second lowest bidder at $5,388,268.50. And W.D. Malone was $5,774,220. So the base bids, Manfred was the lowest bidder, and then for those additive items as well, Manfred Construction was also the low bidder with base and additive combined. So the total from Manfred was $5,965,304. Luck Brothers was $6,039,700.50, and W.D. Malone was $6,610,992.50. So Manfred and Luck Brothers were very close. $70,000 on a $6 million project is really tight bids. So we were happy with those numbers, but at this point, we are about $150,000 over budget. So at this stage, in order to meet that milestone, my recommendation is that the board would make just the base bid award tonight, so that we can go through the numbers, look at what that means, and then, decide at a later date when to add those additive bid items in. Doing it this way, it's a very simple process. Once the village decides if you want to, bump up that budget to include those items, then you simply add it into the contractor's contract by change order. So we've already got the numbers established. They don't have a blank check. It's just simply, once the funds are there, we can add it in.
Let me get this straight. So the base one you're talking about here at $5 million, that's for 14,000 linear feet of pipe laid.
Yep.
And the additive is stuff you're taking out of the original that you don't want to go over, so that's the 800,000?
Correct, yep, the seven.
Could you tell me what that amounts to? I mean, what streets are those and
Yep.
et cetera?
Yeah, so talking with Terry, we really just kept it to some of those ancillary items that are ancillary areas of the system. So it's North and South Shore Drive, Emery and Sherman, and then Clover Rise. And so those items were not selected on a priority basis. It was really just a function of how much do we think this could be over. Let's capture enough area so that we can remove that from the base bid to ensure that our number on the base bid is low enough to make award so that we can meet our milestone, and then we can add those areas back in. So it wasn't necessarily a function of priority per se. It's really just to provide the flexibility at bidding, because as I saw these numbers coming in, I realized that this could be a possibility.
Okay, and so the timeline on the three streets.
Yep.
Those are the only three that are on that timeline,
Correct. Yep.
and the rest of it goes to the 2026.
Yeah. So I talked to the contractor. The first thing we do once we get the bids in is call the contractor, make sure that they're comfortable with their number as submitted, make sure that they're a responsive bidder, meaning they submitted all of their bonding documentation, all the required EFC documentation, and then most importantly, make sure that they're comfortable with the milestone. So the milestone is to do the 3 blocks, Huguenin from James to John Street from Huguenin to Jane, and then Jane Street from John back to James. So the 3 blocks that, the perimeter around the yard center, it's about 1,100 feet of pipe. The contractor thought that was absolutely no problem. So the big key was, making this award tonight in order to get them going as soon as possible. So with award tonight on the base bid, the contractor can then apply for their bonds and insurances from the bonding company. We'll get the formal documents, and then at that point we can issue notice to proceed, and then we can get started. So that's the timeline. The crunch is really to try to get the bonds and insurances in so we can get started.
So the additional bid, right, the secondary bid, so that is still locked though, right? So they can't, once they're the contractors, they can't, well, you know what, it's going to be blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's why we did it that way. You know, we could have simply removed it from the contract and then added it in afterwards, but then they have a blank check to say, well, yeah, we can do it, but it's gonna be this much.
Right.
By getting the numbers up front, we've locked them into those, they have to hold those, and then once we decide what that additional bonding looks like, then we can add those back in by change order at these amounts they submitted.
And then how much over budget are we? So what was our original?
So we had,
You said 100,000, right?
it's about, so it's 200,000, so it's 5.7, 5.75 was what we had. You know, if the total contract came in at 5.75, we were good to go, with no contingency, so at that point, it's a little tight, but it came in at 5.96.
So can they even, that secondary bid, can they go up to 5.75? You know what I'm saying, for the extra, if we can't find the money, the other 200,000, is that a possibility?
Yeah, we could add some items in part, up to that 5.75, but again, this replacement project being all high priority areas,
Right.
it's a
The initial bid
priority
was
to get them all done.
Yeah. Thank you.
So in that, in the contracts, we have $70,000 in field order allowances, which is essentially a secondary contingency. So we're over by 200,000, but understand that 70,000 in the contract is set aside for contingency. So in reality, it's 130,000 of overage. But
So David, there's a number of lined out items in here replaced with the blue type, and does that mean that they've agreed to all of this, or they haven't agreed to it, or we've negotiated to this point, or?
what was it? I'm sorry.
There's a number of lined out paragraphs in this contract that are replaced with some blue type verbiage.
Yep.
So that's in discussions with the contractor, they've agreed to all this?
Yeah, so the agreement is included in the specification documents, so that's something that they've already seen. That is part of the contract, they don't get to change that. The blue text is an industry standard, so we use EJCDC documents, so that's the...
Well, for example, there's a lined out version, paragraph about for each day you're late, you'll pay us something or another, and it's lined out and replaced with blue saying you'll pay $1,500 or whatever it is.
Yep.
All right, so this is the final version, and you'll take out the line out when we finally sign it, or what?
So the strikeouts stay, that's what I was going to say. These EJCDC documents are an industry standard, and you cannot modify them. You cannot delete anything out of them. You can strike them and add, but it's a form of tracking the modifications to the documents.
But both parties have agreed to this.
Correct. Yep. Yep.
So then if that milestone is a hit, then they start getting a fine of $1,500 per day.
That's
December.
That is, yep, that would be the village's, you would be in your
And the,
right to do so.
2026 deadline too.
Correct, yep.
So if they're 100 days late, then we'd be even. Ish.
Any other comments or questions? If not, could I have a motion to accept this bid and award it to Malone? Is it Malone?
Manfred.
Manfred.
Yep.
I'll make the motion, we award it to Manfred.
And a second?
I'll second
All in favor?
Aye.
it. Aye.
Any opposed? Any more discussion? Bid awarded. Thank you, David.
Very good. So I will get we'll have to get the notice of award signed, Joanne. I can get an electronic copy of that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Then I'll get it to the contractor. The bonding and insurance company requires that. And then we'll get those in, get it to the attorney, just like we did on contract one.
Yes,
And then we'll get notice to proceed out and get started.
super. Thank you, David.
Very good. Thank you.
David number 2, or rather Dave 1. I love your shirt, by the way.
Thanks. New fashion for fall. All right, good evening, everybody. Nice to be back. Okay, so updated meeting. I've got a variety of different permits that we walked through. There's about 5 or 6, combination zoning and building, and a couple of the signs. If there not specifically in any order, just how we processed them, but you'll see that all zoning permits don't equate to building permits and vice versa. Things that we look at when we do the zoning, obviously, is a new construction and setbacks and impacts. Decks are notorious for setback issues, so we would look at all those from a zoning standpoint. Garage resident, per se, would be a zoning criteria. We did have 2 signs that we were working through, actually 3. Tilt is still on hold. Community Bank got denied, and I think people are pretty much aware of that. Stewart's, that's going to be at the Sliders. We're in discussions still with them about their signage. There was a variance, historical variance for signage, historical variance for areas, lot size for that property. They carry over with the transfer. They can match existing signage that's there. They may want to add some, so we're still in discussions with that. So that's why that's still under evaluation. The building permits that we have are for decks. We've got an addition. We've got a second-story rehab. The garage residence that was proposed at Washington Island got withdrawn. There were some area issues there that they could not meet and decided not to fight it. So that kind of goes from permitting. We did just $1,600, a little less than $1,600 collected for permit fees. Upcoming things that we're looking at as far as property inspections, the former Key Bank, they're looking at doing some upgrades to that. They want to bring a man lift down so they can access the rear riverside, because that's the front of the property, to do painting and quote-unquote repairs to those, what they call decks, but they're actually porches. I granted them permission for the scissor lift, or whatever lift they're bringing out. They've got to identify it still. I consulted with Terry to make sure that we were in line with what could be taken down and put on the Riverwalk. We did ask for protection to be laid down, such as plywood or equal, so that we don't get rubber tire onto the Riverwalk, because when those things turn, you got a several thousand-ton piece of equipment, tires turn, they leave marks. So it's better if we do it on something such as plywood. They can pick it up, move it, and then they can stage themselves. They're actually on hydraulic lifts when they go to lift. Also said that they have to have pedestrian barriers. They've got to walk the thing down with a man in the front, with a man in the back, just to make sure that everything's safe. No timeline for when that's going to occur. When it does come in, I'll kind of communicate to that. They're quote-unquote repairs. We will be doing active inspections of that. Those are structural columns that support those decks or porches. So anything they touch on that has got to be run through our codes. And I made that clear on that. Had an interesting one, 100 Sport Avenue. They wanted to put some arborvitaes up along their fence line. They're trying to talk to me over it. Well, I want to put it on the property line. I said, you can't do that because you can't have trees growing into your neighbor's yard. And so I said, okay, we'll come down and we'll take a look at it. They weren't even near their property line. They were talking about putting arborvitaes up to shade their dog from the road, and they were 15 to 20 feet in from the road, and I was like, you're good to go. But so those are the enjoyable ones. We do various property inspections every time we do get a request for a permit. And we do have one pending at Cornelia Avenue, which is just a 10 by 20 shed. I just want to make sure we get the setbacks correct for that. I just got the drawing in today. We did issue some temporary certificates of occupancy for Timmons property, which is over on Mercer by the old Pier House. They're still working on rehabbing or new construction of the basement. They wanted to occupy the upper floor. While they were doing that, we gave them a temporary permit for their final inspections. They did have a final electrical inspection already done, fire protection inspection, so we went ahead and granted that. Antique Boat Museum, we gave them a temporary certificate so they could show off their building this last weekend. They had the final inspection for electrical inspection. We got that certification. We still have the fire protection and the alarm system. We have not gotten the final certificate of that, as they are still trying to interlink those in through their computer system. But they're not occupying that from a work standpoint. It was more for a show and tell walkthrough. Variance requests that are pending. I talked about the Stewart sign. Only thing that I know is coming in, or they have an existing sign, I think over the entrance or on the side of it. They're going to match that. They're going to do something to the standing sign. It's got the prices for the gas on it. They're going to put a Stewart's down on the bottom where there's a marquee right now where they just hand place things. The original one was backlit. I said no, so they're not coming back. There is a third sign pending. I'm not quite sure what that is yet. So we did give them interim okay to start some of that sign. In the idea that they wanted to close this week on that purchase, if they did, could they then start putting signs up? And I said, as long as you're matching existing with a permit in hand that's pending, we would be okay with that. Planning board meeting that's upcoming. We've got the State Street where Morsha is going to put those apartments, townhouses. He's got 2 properties up there. We're in the process of merging them from a tax standpoint. They have to have an attorney do it from a deed standpoint. The merge from the tax standpoint will then have an updated tax map that they then can build those townhouses and meet all of the setback requirements. We do have, and just received, the Senecal property on James Street, where he's been adding apartment after apartment after apartment. He wants to put 2 more in. I don't know where he's going to shoehorn those in. We just got that application. It's going to go to the board, and we'll let the board decide. But there was a lot of contingencies on the prior approved apartments. I think it was 3 or 4, 3 and 1. Yeah, it was 3 or 4. We get into free, open green space. We get into drainage. We get into parking. So those have to be addressed with this latest application. And I haven't delved into it deep enough to see if they've presented that or not. But then again, that goes to the board. It's their decision. I still have an open item with the planning board that I've got to have done by the next meeting. Is about the landscaping at the laundromat. Zoning Board of Appeals, which Mike took my spot in the other week. The community bank variance was denied. Caddick Garage on Merrick was approved. They did a reconfiguration. They were denied originally because they had a house, a deck, a garage. They got rid of the deck, got a house, a garage. The garage is attached. They met the criteria within 5 feet. Plan got withdrawn. Tilt signage is withdrawn, pending discussions with the mayor. Other open items. I haven't had any other updates from Bayside about their dock expansion. And again, I still have a little bit of homework to do that about where our mooring field sits within an expansion in that area. complaints we received. We have an abandoned property on Frontenac Boulevard. It's got 7 boats and combination boats, trailers, no boats, canoes, trailer, all kinds of things. So we went over there last week, took some pictures, issued them a letter. We still got the U-Haul that I'm very frustrated with. There doesn't seem to be any action on that. But then we've got to come up with, what do we do? Right now, the process is we get a complaint. We get a complaint, and I say then put a complaint in writing. We get it in writing. We go visit the property, we take pictures. We then send those pictures to the property owner and request that they resolve the problem. Where it goes after that is still a gray area. What authority we have is still under discussion. Something that we need to think about as a board. How do we want to handle these abandoned vehicles, abandoned trailers? There's one on State Street across from Surefine that I just saw the other day, or the other week. It's an ongoing issue. Something I think from an eyesore standpoint we want to address as a community. Okay, no outstanding meetings, administrative actions. So I'm still working on Bayside. We've got the shed that was approved. Language in the approval says office. The language at the hearing said not occupiable or for public occupation. Occupancy, excuse me, and they're using it that way. I've got the next thing I'm doing is pulling the meeting minutes to get that piece of information, because it was a verbal part of the acceptance. I made a mistake and it didn't put it in as part of the condition of approval. So I need to redo that, bring that back up. And resolve that loop. They have come back with, they do want to potentially do a subdivision for the units that they currently own the property, but sell the rights to build a house on it. Now they want to subdivide it and have the house owners buy the property. So that's going to be probably a several month effort. Dock expansion again is on hold. Building permit clarifications. I was approached about the ongoing, I'm doing this, but I actually do this type thing, right hand, left hand. We see it all the time with permitting. I'm building a shed, I have an office. I'm doing this, type thing. My shed costs $10,000, or my garage costs $10,000, give me a permit based on that cost, and our formula is based on cost of the structure, about what fees we collect, and then we get a skyscraper, all right, that's not $10,000. How do we manage those types of things? That's something for the board to think about, and I'm raising that up. One of the steps I will take before, and I'll update at the next meeting, is I do need to talk to the tax assessor, because we do give them copies of permits where additions are being constructed, things like that improve the value of the property, but also increases the tax base. What do they base theirs on? Do they base theirs on knowledge of building structures, costs, things like that, or do they solely base it on what the piece of paper says? Oh, I'm building a $10,000 garage for $5,000. So those are the types of things I need to get my hand about. This just came up within the last day or two, so it's a work in progress. So any input is
gonna say that, if you look at, the fee permit for zoning and planning, that's pretty straightforward. And I think that, we may wanna look at something like that for the building permit.
Okay, so for zoning is based on square footage.
Correct.
Building is based on cost.
Correct.
I don't know how you equate a square footage cost to a structure because they change. Depends upon what you're building. Are you building a shed? Your square footage cost is going to be a lot less than building an office.
Right.
Or if you're building a house, or you're building an addition. So,
But in the, if you look at the, schedule, it basically says deck, $10 a square foot. It goes down through. A garage is,
yes.
20. So, I mean, that's a thought. I mean, we don't have to go that way, it'd be up to the board, but I think that is definitely an issue that should be addressed. And that is somebody saying that they're building a garage and they're saying $10,000 and you can't hardly put a slab down for $10,000. And
That's why I'm going to go to the tax assessor. What do they base their tax assessment on?
right,
And that's going to be a critical piece to closing that loop as you're discussing. Because what's on paper may not have anything to do with what the tax assessor does.
well, it has something to do with our fee though, too.
We're talking a
Small
very,
amount of
very
money.
small amount of money. I think our tax base would be happier collecting that money than the village. But those are things that we will look at the big picture of all those different angles.
So with the, abandoned vehicles and those things that are sort of ongoing, now, if you don't shovel your walk, you get a fine. End of story, you get the fine. How come we can't do that? And I don't know, is that,
We can, but we don't have anything.
We can.
And that's where I need support.
so do you need a law passed or just, like, what do we have to do to give Dave the support he's
An
asking?
amendment?
You'd have to have an amendment
Yeah.
to the code
Yeah.
stating it in
Do we want to form a subcommittee, or do you want to give us a proposal on what you think would be good and we can discuss it? Because
I'll
we've been
come
talking
up-
about this for a long time, but let's get something actually in
I'll
writing.
come up with a proposal for the next meeting.
Great, then we can, then we
Yeah.
can say, let's do it. And then,
But then the flip side of that, we have to communicate that to the community.
absolutely,
All right,
Yeah.
to make sure that we have, and I don't know if we have to go to community comments. Mayor Nancy?
I don't know.
Okay.
We haven't, since I've been around, we haven't changed anything, so I don't know.
Okay.
If it's a law, yes, you do, but if it's not, you may not have to, but we will certainly look
I
into
mean,
it.
there is code.
Yes,
You can't have
but it doesn't
abandoned
say,
vehicles.
if you're notified and you don't remove it within 5 days, it's
it's,
$250.
$200 a day or whatever. Yeah,
There's
exactly.
nothing in the code
Yeah.
in reference to that, and
Yeah.
I believe that's what Mike is referring to.
Yeah, that way we have some teeth. And I
Yes.
think that's what you're looking at.
Yes, yes.
There's some teeth, and if we have to do a public hearing, we do a public hearing. And I think most of the public would say that's a great idea, because, so I don't think that's an issue. And, maybe we call an ICOM and see if this has been done before, certainly.
Oh, yeah.
So they must just have a template we can follow or something.
Do you happen to know what code number that is?
No, I don't know off the top of my head.
That
I'm
would
smart,
be-
but I'm not that smart.
That would be under codes?
Yeah.
We looked at
Yep,
that?
it's under the zoning code.
It'd
And
be
there's a
under abandoned
specific-
property.
Abandoned.
There's a specific chapter for abandoned vehicles.
Yeah.
Unregistered abandoned vehicles.
Yeah, and I do like what Ron said about if there's already that breakdown of different types of things, then maybe that can be our basis
Yep.
for somehow for the other, after you talk to the assessor. So yeah, if you give us the stuff, I think we're
Okay.
ready to vote on it and say, let's do it. Because this has been, since I've been here, it's been an ongoing conversation.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We just don't know what to do
We
with it.
don't do anything, yeah.
We try the letters and.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we're trying, and that's fine, we can still do that, do all the process before, be nice, talk to them, send the letter, but at some point, we gotta say, all right, guys, $200 a day or whatever from here on in.
I mean, they can't see it because
Yeah.
it feels like a gotcha or something.
Yeah.
So we're not looking for that.
Right.
So
No,
our
it's
attorney
never-
handles many other villages and towns, so would it be worthwhile for us to hear from him? Have him come in and visit with us and
Who?
give us an idea of our
Jim
attorney,
Burrows.
Jim Burrows?
I mean, I think we'd better to talk to NICOM and see if we can do it without getting $1,000 in attorney costs, but
But we pay him, we already pay him money now, right?
no, well, we
No,
pay
we
him
don't
when
pay
we
him
use it.
a fee, we pay him
Yeah,
per hour.
yeah, he doesn't get like a,
Yeah, he doesn't have a retainer.
yeah, he just gets paid.
We have a budget line, but
Yeah,
not.
we don't need to spend $1,000 on this. I think we can figure this out ourselves.
Yep.
Yes. And I know the question has always been, not always been, the comment always is enforcement. So the enforcement all comes down to, you don't pay your $200, how do you get the $200? Then you yank them into court, then you've got the lawyer, and you're paying $500 to get the lawyer into court to get your $200. I know that is a big issue for enforcement. But I am not opposed to looking further into it. And as you said, also other communities.
Yeah.
So we'll continue, because I know I've spoken to both Dave and, because I have a few things I'd like cleaned up immediately. I agree.
Anything else? Okay.
Thank you,
thanks.
Dave, appreciate it, thank you. Any questions on the water report? As you see, Jeff wasn't able to make it tonight.
No. Not me.
It's a great water.
Terry has a few things he'd like for me to talk with you about. The first thing is, starting next week, the DPW will start paving certain streets. They will be milling from James Street to Franklin, Union Street to James Street, Riverside Drive from the condos, Centennial down Mary Street. Then they will return next month to pave those streets along with Mercer Avenue. The estimated cost is about $86,000, and we have that in our CHIPS money to pay for it. He will be sending out a letter to all the residents, letting them know. So it will be a bumpy ride for a few weeks, but thereafter it'll be smooth and clean. Also, you may have noticed down on Riverside, on Mary Street by the Antique Boat Museum and the Wood Boat, they're paving those spots also. So there's gone in at least 4 or 5 parallel parking, and then they will do the other side next week. When I drove down there last night on my way home about 7:30, there was a large black truck parked in an area that you're not supposed to park in. All the parallels have been taken care of. But the issue was that individual's truck sticks out into Mary Street. So we have to, I talked to Terry about it, I don't know, I hate to put up a quote, no parking sign. Maybe once that parking lot gets finished, it'll dawn on people. But please don't park in there, it's a hazard to the street with people, don't do that. And I will also talk with the police that if it needs be that we have to start ticketing people, then that's what will also need to happen. Because that area is just too narrow. It's been kind of a wreck for a while.
Nancy, could I ask
Yes.
a question? So I've seen in other communities where they have like small vehicle parking. I wonder if that's something that for that one space, it was marked small vehicle?
No, because it's right in front of the entrance to the ABM's parking lot, where that new building is. So there should be no parking there at all.
Oh, I see.
And my assumption is that it was nighttime, everything's closed, I can park here, no big deal.
Got it,
But in the wintertime, et cetera, nobody should be parking there. We'll monitor it and see how it goes. Maybe it was one-time thing, yes. The sidewalks, I spoke with Mike Fox on Saturday, and Terry spoke with him on Monday. He has about 4 of them that have confirmed they will be going and looking at them this week and getting those sidewalks removed and get ready for the concrete, which again, won't happen all next week, but it will happen within the next few weeks. Mike has sent out letters to other individuals that were interested, but no response. So he's waiting to get a response from them, and/or I said, then just move forward, and we can take care of it next year.
Are these sidewalks in different locations, or?
Yes, and then he'd like to pour them all on the same day. They'll get them framed up during whatever time period, and then all be poured, hopefully on the same day.
So we're only talking 4?
At this particular point. It's kind of expensive. That's what the deterrent is the money. You know, people want it done, but it's the money aspect of it. So we'll do it this year, and we'll see how it goes. Revisit it for again next spring. Any other questions in reference to DPW? Any questions in reference to the police report?
No.
So with the police report, I have a couple of issues to talk about there. Today, the police chief was notified by a cruise line that is asking permission to come in next season for the cruises in the summer. And Kevin would like to know your response to that. He is objectionable to it because it costs us money. We need staff. We have to set up perimeters. We have to set up fencing. We have to have police staff down there. It costs us money to do all this, and we have roughly a staff of 3. And he just isn't for this any longer. But he wants the board to make that decision.
Is there an income associated?
There is some income, but it's not huge. I cannot give you the exact amount because I do not know.
Well, we probably ought to know that before we decide, I think.
Well, I think what you're which is fine. I think though what you're also looking at is the time to do it. You know, these you have to have customs down there. You have to set up a perimeter. You have to be down there.
These are
guarding the whole
international
area.
Canadian
Yes.
boats? Oh,
So it's not just, say, the tour boat coming from.
So wouldn't why wouldn't the tour boat, why wouldn't they pay for some of the fees? Like,
Well, they may pay for it.
Yeah,
I think the biggest objection is the personnel, enough time.
Yeah.
We have 3 police officers, and putting them onto this project, is it cost effective?
But wouldn't they need, if it's international, wouldn't they need?
Oh, yeah, you'll bring in the customs
Yeah,
and
so
whatnot, yes, you
can't
will.
they just, like, the customers, can't those officers do it? 'Cause wouldn't that be?
Not necessarily. It's our property.
Yeah.
I don't know all the ins and outs.
I guess we'd have to look into it. Well, I mean, on the one hand, it seems like it'd be great. Tour, a tour boat stops in, they go around shopping and all of that stuff. If it's not, if it makes economic sense, but I think we need to find out more information.
It's also
on
been
the economics of it.
determined by a number of the shops downtown that these individuals don't shop a lot. And they usually, once they get off the boat, they walk around the town, they'll go over to the ABM,
Mhm.
and then they may get on a bus and go to Boat Castle.
Mm.
And so they're not large vendors, which I can understand completely. They don't need anything from our community,
Right.
which I understand. I don't begrudge them that, so. All right, I'll try to get a figure and send it out to you all.
Thank you.
Scooters, e-bikes, e-tricycles. There's a problem with them. I did bring it up last night at the tourism meeting that we all went to for the New York State legislators to start talking about. On my road in particular, I have 3 elementary school children, probably 3rd grade, that their chins come up to the handlebars, and they are zipping along Union Street, and they're not always stopping. They do wear helmets. It is not safe. It is incumbent upon the parents at this time to keep their children safe. We've seen a gentleman with his e-scooter zip around the circle here with a little one sitting in front of him. Sitting. And you know who's going to get in trouble when something happens? The village didn't do anything. This is incumbent upon the parents, and I'm going to continue, quote, looking into it and, quote, pushing the legislators that something New York State needs to come up with some answers for this. And the answer basically is you need to be 16 years old to operate one of these, and you need to be in the street.
And we have adults that don't stop at stop signs on e-bikes.
I don't disagree with you.
I watch them in this corner
Yeah.
every day.
I don't disagree. Somebody's,
In front of our police, they do it.
the
I've watched them.
possibility of someone being hurt, but these little children at 7 years old or so that don't have any adult supervision is incorrect, and that is a parental fault.
So you're saying there's no state law
But
at all?
there is no state law right
about this?
now.
Oh, jeez.
But I did get the impression last night that the legislators are aware. They're gonna do something, but that could be March. So I think we need to, and possibly we need to maybe even go to the PTO and get that word out, because this is a dangerous situation for these children. We've also had numerous complaints about teenagers on bicycles, not e-bikes, just bicycles. And a lot of horsing around downtown, a lot of horsing around in this area on sidewalks. They're somewhat dangerous. And they have been spoken to more than once by the police, and that will continue. Because they just go haywire down there, and that's just incorrect. Incorrect. So I will continue to work on the legislators for that, also the scooters.
Could a letter from us be sent out by the school? I mean, the school has the ability to send out parent square messages electronically. It's a zero cost.
Would you be able to find out if that's acceptable?
Yeah,
You know, and then if the answer is yes, we'll be more than happy to do that, and I think that's an excellent idea.
I mean, that shows that the village, you know,
Yes.
is reaching out to the parents in another way that we really want your children to be safe.
That's correct, yes.
So,
Yeah, if you would check into
I will.
that, that would be
I'll get
great.
back to you.
Thanks, thank you. The dog warden, the article I read in the paper, we're not getting a dog warden, we're not hiring a dog warden. The town has a dog warden, it's been that way since about 2017, 2018. We're sticking with that. Whoever they hire is who we're sticking with. We know that the dogs, and especially one dog in particular, has been an issue. My recommendation is contact the town, because the dog warden is a town employee. And I cannot tell the dog warden what to do, or we can't either.
But
We have
anyone in
offered,
the village that's having a problem
Yes.
with a dog should still be covered under the town.
yes, which they are, yes, yes. So we will not be taking on that
Yeah,
responsibility.
don't call here, call the
Yeah,
town.
call down there,
Right.
yeah, and maybe the comment that I heard yesterday was, well, you can't find anybody to be the dog, you know, a responsible person. But I think what's happening is the person who's the dog warden doesn't report to anyone. So they go wild, or they don't do anything, or whatever. Someone needs to be responsible for that person. It will not be the village. And that's all I have on the police.
Maybe we could put some information on our web about that. If
Sure.
dog complaints, please contact the town, as they have the person as their employee.
Yes, thank you, we will do that. Do we have any questions or comments about the consent agenda 1 through 4?
No.
Could I have a motion to accept that?
I'll make the motion.
And a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And number 5, the capital projects.
I'll make the motion.
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? New business, the town is the one that gets the bids for the propane and fuel. So the propane came in with, who was that? That was Suburban, Joanne?
Superior,
Superior,
1.29,
1.29.
and Mirabito for fuel, 2.76.
So what do you need a motion?
We need a motion to
Just
accept
to
that.
accept.
I'll make the
Yes.
motion.
And a second? Rob, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Alrighty, thank you. And you received the financials for August of 2025. Could I have a motion acknowledging that that has been received?
I'll make the motion.
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We had a very busy weekend with spectacular weather the last 3 to 4 weeks. We had the car show and the boat show that was very successful. And I heard last night that the boat show will be back in 3 years
Oh, wow, great.
again. So they must have really liked it. But how could you ask? It was a spectacular weekend and week. And those boats themselves were spectacular. Back under the treasurer's report, the AFR, also known as the AUD, has been submitted to the comptroller. Yep, hooray. That's very, very good. And the Lions Field building is going up. And that should be probably in use by middle of the month. The village did the plumbing, so it should be going pretty soon. And that's all I have. Trustee McDowell?
So the chamber has met for the first time at the end of the summer, and they had a very productive summer. Some discussion about their financial situation, which is very good. They're in the black for the items that they ran. They didn't lose any money this summer. On any of the events, they had quite a few, as you know. And the only thing that was a discussion, which will be tabled until next time, is are we going to have the Balloon Festival every year or once a year, or every other year? So that was something that will be talked about at a later date. And other than that, they're looking forward to finishing off the season with Pumpkin Chunkin' and Clayton Celebrates, which is on the 24th. And nighttime in Riverside Drive, which is not, I don't believe that is a chamber function, but it's on November 1st. It's something that somebody else is doing.
Do you know who's
Chambers-
doing that? Because I was told it was the chamber, but
They're supporting it, I think, is what I've heard, yeah, so,
it sounds like a
Yeah.
Halloween pub crawl,
yeah, it is.
and I'd be curious
Exactly
as
what
to.
it
When is it?
Nighttime in Riverside Drive. Yeah, it's a pub crawl, is basically what they describe it as.
Thank you.
But anyway, they're helping. One other carryover from last time, though, is I see that the no parking sign continues to hang on Riverside Drive in front of the Prenzios.
I've asked about 4 people to take it down. Nobody has taken it down, so I will take my knife and take it down and put that sign onto a certain restaurant's table so that it doesn't look as though it's stolen.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Trustee Kinney?
Yeah, so, as everybody knows, or most people know, we were gonna buy, my wife and I were gonna buy a building here. It didn't work out, so we bought one in Cape Vincent. So, long story short of it is I'm finding that Rebecca's in both places, but I'm spending most of my time in Cape Vincent. I don't feel like I can do this board justice by continuing to be a village trustee. So I'm going to step down as a village trustee so that someone else who's here most of the time can take over that spot. I figured if it makes sense, I'd just work to the end of the year. I talked to the Board of Elections yesterday, because we finally closed on the building yesterday. And unfortunately, it's too late to put a name on the ballot, because I was hoping that all this would have, well, I was hoping that it would have closed months ago. But anyways, so as a result, regretfully, we're still gonna live here, but I'm gonna be spending most of my time probably on Cape Vincent, whereas Rebecca will be back and forth.
But you'll
What
be here
did-
until the end of the year?
Yeah, that's what I
What did
thought.
the board, well, what did the Board of Elections say? I'm just curious.
They said that it's too late for,
Yes.
it to be like a blank slate on the ballot or whatever. So, in other
But
words.
we could get the word out for a serious write-in.
Yeah, but I don't think there's not even space, because no one's on the
There's
ballot.
nothing for the Village of Clayton, is what you're saying.
Well,
Yeah,
for
because
village
he's
trustees,
not
yeah, 'cause
up.
I don't think anybody's up for election.
Yeah, nobody's.
No, there is.
Yeah,
no.
so,
Okay. All right.
yeah,
Well,
and
we'll
it-
put our ear to the ground.
yeah, but obviously, there's plenty of other people that can, do a great job.
Oh, really?
And thank you for,
Well, thank you, Mike,
you know,
for
for
letting
my
us
time.
know and being considerate of us. And also, tremendous thanks for Climate Smart,
oh, yeah.
for Climate
It's-
Smart.
it's
Yeah,
great to
well,
have that certification.
you certainly got us going, and it's going well, and truly appreciate all of your help that you did for that.
Yeah, it was a team effort.
Yes,
Thank
it
you.
was, but you
Appreciate
led the team. Thank you. Mr. Riddock?
Okay, Han Memorial Library had a meeting on September 17th. They were pleased to announce that Laura Orvis is the North Country Library System Director of the Year. So congratulations to Laura Orvis. She works hard. She does a great job with the library. They serve a lot of our children and certainly the adults in the library, and also with many other things. The Scarecrow contest, Pumpkin Chunkin, they're a big part of everything else that's going on in the community as well. So,
What did she receive?
the North Country Library System Director of the Year. So,
Okay.
way to go, Laura. She works hard. And then the other thing that I have to report is, same as Nancy said, just piggyback on that. The building's going up at the Lions Field, and I sent you all a few pictures of it tonight. If you didn't have to drive by it 10 times today to see it already.
That's what the
Yes, so I sent you 3 pictures of the building. It's going up quickly and it looks good. Everything else is on site, shingles and windows and things like that. So it'll come together. That's all.
Thank you. Mr. DeFord, trustee
Yes.
DeFord.
I have a few things I wanted to talk about the ZBA, and this is reiteration of Dave here a little bit. We had 2 applications. One was an attached garage with complete living space above it. And I was thinking that we may want to discuss this maybe in a workshop sometime or whatever. If we want to add a line or 2 on the application, I talked about this before, maybe a check box on the application itself, stating whether or not they're going to use if it's a garage with living space or an apartment or whatever, that it actually is checked on there, that that's their intention. And the same thing with a box for a short-term rental. I think that would be appropriate with the way things are going for rentals. We also, for this kind of thing, I was thinking that we may want to require, because if it's a permitted use, if it's an attached garage, the way it is permitted, and then it's just a building permit. And I was thinking that maybe we would like to see that go to a site plan for that kind of case, because a person is placing kitchens and that kind of thing above the garage, and I think it needs a little more examination than just a building permit. Of course, that's my opinion, and I would like to have a discussion with everybody about it. The second one was about the signs being lit, and I think that the ZBA did a great job saying that, no, that's not going to happen, and they denied it. And they also stated in that if they did bring it back up, that they were going to look at the maximum signage, which is 24 square feet, which it looked like they didn't even ask for that as a variance for this. I also wanted to note that the application states on the ZBA, and I want to make sure that we follow this up, that in that case, nobody showed up for the application. And right on the application itself, it states that a agent or the applicant needs to be at the meeting.
They weren't there?
They weren't there. And it put Mike in an awkward position of trying to...
Because they said they were going to be.
Yeah, unfortunately, they weren't.
Hmm.
And I think at that point,
I
it
agree.
needs to be tabled.
I would
Because
concur with that,
it's
yeah.
not his job to promote or decline.
No.
I think the simple thing is for our guys to say, I'm sorry they're not here,
Yeah,
and let's just table this,
Yes,
instead of trying to present it.
yeah.
right, I think so too.
'Cause we
Yes,
don't-
I would agree, it's not our job to present for someone.
Because you're not getting
No.
paid to
It looks
advocate
bad.
for the applicant.
Yes, I agree with you, yes.
Okay,
Okay.
and that's it.
To swing back around with what Ron was saying about garages, Mike and I have had considerable conversation about these garage apartments, and there is no code for it. So we can look at it from a couple of directions. This, making an attachment is a loophole. You know, it's a definite loophole. Or do we say, yes, you can have a garage apartment under these conditions? You can't have a garage apartment, but only have a one-car driveway, and you're gonna have 3 people in there. And creating from that perspective, because more and more people want it. Every time we turn around and say, oh, no, you can't have it, they reconfigure and they go through the loophole. So something to think about, and as Ron said, getting back together again and having a discussion and changing the code for that. Do we want to, do we not want to? People want to live here. I understand as I get older, who's going to take care of me? So maybe this is a direction that we want to go in, but I agree it takes quite a bit of conversation, which what we want to do. But this going through loopholes and you can get it this way, let's just make it clear. But there would be qualifications for it. It wouldn't just be, yeah, you can have a garage apartment. You have 1 parking space and six cars now. But we would clearly look that over.
That's
Yeah.
where the site plan would come in.
Yes, it would.
And so we could actually, well, I think we need to add a few things.
Oh, I agree. Yes,
But
absolutely.
then the site plan, they would be able to ask the applicant questions and make sure that it's a safe. It's also a thing for insurance purposes.
Yes.
If somebody doesn't say that somebody's living above the
Right.
garage, if an event happened, that insurance probably would not pay.
Isn't there a more stringent inspection process if there's living quarters
Yes.
all around?
Yeah,
Yes.
fire separation.
Fire separation, all that
Absolutely.
kind of stuff.
And you have to get a
Yes.
CO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yes.
In fact, I said something to Dave
Yes.
before he left. I go, make sure that this is being inspected for an apartment.
Yeah.
Because it's a complete package that was.
And Michael's well aware of that, and he has completed and passed the first 3 sections of his codes. So he's well on the way and fully understands what he does have to do. In reference to the Airbnbs, that will start coming, I think it was yesterday, but I'm not sure, that the tax perspective was to start on the 22nd. I had a nice conversation last night with the county administrator, and they will have their system up and running. They're hoping by the end of the year, and we will get on board with them and look at things so that we could begin to number the amount of Airbnbs we have in the community.
So Jefferson County will
Yeah,
have
Jefferson
something
County.
coming in?
We'll have a website that, and there's a whole firm they're working with, and we will be able to work with that. And Jefferson County offered to, we'll work with Clayton to help you get through this. So I'm excited.
And then there'll be a way to register your
Yes.
Airbnb, and you'll
Yes.
have to register, and it
Yes.
goes through the county.
Yes.
And
I don't know any, nobody knows the specifics,
Yeah,
but that's
right, because they're still
exactly.
working it out.
And then these are the rules for this community, and this community, and this community.
Oh, okay, so we'll get to choose our
We
own
can
rules to a
choose.
certain degree. Great,
You'll have New York State rules,
Yeah,
and then
right.
you can add your own,
yeah,
which I thought was very good.
yeah.
But I haven't seen anything, they haven't seen anything, but that's moving forward.
But the money still goes to the town, that hasn't.
That hasn't changed. That hasn't changed,
It doesn't look like it will.
yes. No, it doesn't. No,
So why don't they do all the work to do this?
no comment.
Sorry.
yeah.
I
Does
should've-
anyone from the audience want to, yes, please come up here.
Please.
Yes, please. State your name and.
My name is Neil Fuller.
Oh,
This is my wife Dee. I'm a 25-year resident of the town of Clayton, and my wife and I own a small, humble camp on French Bay. I work here in the village as a deacon administrator of St. Mary's Church. And today I come with a request that I know many residents and property owners in our community share, that the village stop allowing barges from mooring in the middle of French Creek Bay. French Creek Bay, as you know, does allow a beautiful view of the channel, and it offers recreational opportunities, not just to local residents, but many visitors who support our community. They support our churches, they support our museums, and our businesses. Allowing barges to anchor there does not represent, as I feel, the values that Clayton has become known for. First of all, it has spoiled the view for so many of us who, as homeowners or residents of French Bay, that we've come to enjoy in the past several years. And it obstructs the view of visitors and other families that want to see the natural beauty of the Thousand Islands. They don't want to look at an industrial barge with construction equipment, as well as a porta potty in the horizon. Secondly, it could disrupt safe recreation. Boaters, kayakers, fishermen rely on open access to the bay. The presence of barges create obstacles and high hazards, especially during the busy summer months. Third, over the years, this bay has become more and more congested. I would estimate for those of us who are situated near the mouth of the creek have lost at least 50% of our view of the river. And that's permanently obstructed by boathouses and marinas. And I understand, as we talked about earlier tonight, one of the marinas want to extend out another 150 feet. I just wonder, another 150 feet out, plus mooring of the barges, when is the bay going to be totally enclosed? I mean, it's getting more and more so all the time. These barges range from 50 to 100 feet in length. I have witnessed as many as 6 barges in there at one time, all tethered together, obstructing the view all the way across. A while back, one of the bigger marine owners wanted to build some condominiums, made a statement that if you want to protect your view of the water, then own waterfront. But in this case, it doesn't really seem to be working. I have to think that because of all this congestion, that the water flow is not what it probably should be in the bay. I know the vegetation gets thicker and thicker every year, and I wonder what effect does this have on marine life and waterfowl. Now, I totally understand that there is a need for marine construction, but there are construction companies right in the bay that have made major investments in our community and have their own docking facilities that don't interfere with other taxpayers. This is our remarkable village, as everybody knows. And I really think that you as a board should consider allowing these barges, should reconsider allowing these barges to moor in the middle of the bay. I have had many people comment to me that it's too bad the village of Clayton, which has made such great strides in restoration and aesthetic values, allow those unsightly barges to sit in the middle of the bay. So for these reasons, I respectfully ask you, our village board, to consider a measure to stop barges from mooring in French Creek Bay, protecting the beauty, the safety, the integrity of this waterway is not just about today, it's about preserving it for our children and our grandchildren. I thank you for your time, for your consideration, your service and your commitment.
Thank you. I will say, I believe it's gonna be next year that French Creek is gonna be dredging. And that will help with water flow.
Right.
We've heard this.
I know it's come up before.
And it's something that we can continue to discuss. When you look though at your comprehensive plan and your LWRP, which is going to be revised, and the LWRP talks about the Marine District.
You
Which
don't
is-
have to enlighten me with
Oh,
that means.
I'm sorry, the LWRP is Local Waterfront Revitalization Plan. It's a plan that a committee puts together. It is okayed by New York State, it is okayed by the Department of State. It's a 3 to 5 year process. But it states in there that Clayton wants marine development.
Sure.
So my question has been, well, what is marine development? You know, some person will say it's putting up condominiums, somebody else is gonna say, more marine district, more this, more that. It's something that needs to be further discussed and identified closer. That water belongs to everyone.
I understand.
And those other docks you were talking about.
Well, so
That's
I
okay.
understand, but I
That's
would
okay.
like to
But
make
we agree.
a mention of it.
Yes, we
that,
appreciate that, so,
there is opposition to it.
yes, there
I
is.
mean,
And they don't have the space. And the
Right.
big thing they don't have the space about is they don't have parking space.
Right,
They
right.
don't have enough parking space for their current ones. So-
But shouldn't a construction company that wants to do business in Clayton have their own access to that water without relying on the village to offer them mooring space for $300 a year? I mean, how much the box pay to own that property there, put those,
Well, they were, we'll say, wise enough to purchase it.
right,
Yes.
exactly.
The other people, and they live on the water, and they have a very small piece of water
Sure.
space.
But they can rent space like anybody else could. I just think that it's, some of those barges look pretty bad.
Oh, yes, I
They-
don't
they
disagree
look-
with
They
you.
look terrible,
Yes,
you know, and, I never complain about my taxes. I really don't, because we really want to have this property. You know, it's a less than 500 square foot camp with a wood stove that's assessed for $275,000. That probably not worth $500 as far as the building goes, but the waterfront.
But
is-
your waterfront
That's
is
the
worth a
waterfront.
lot.
But we're
That's-
being
yes,
denied our,
Right.
we're being denied our view of the water.
I do hear you. Yes. We'll look into it and see what we can change.
I
or
would
come up
invite
with.
anybody to come down and take a look. I don't know, is anybody aware of it? Are you?
Oh, yeah.
I know Bob is. It's,
Oh, yeah. No, we've heard this, your comment probably 7, 8 years ago.
Sure.
So we came up with a thought that maybe we'd send them over to Goose Bay.
Mhm.
Well, that didn't go very well either. So what do you do with these barges? I don't know.
Right.
But we can continue to discuss and look into it.
I did
Sure.
speak to the Chamber of Commerce about it, and she told me, she said, well, it's necessary and to have the barges, and she said sometimes there's a 4-year waiting list to get a barge. Well, if that's the case, why is there barges sitting out in front of my place there for 6 and 8 weeks at a time without ever being moved?
Yeah, I have no idea.
You know, and they don't,
Yes.
they sit there all,
Right.
half the summer they sit there.
So maybe we can encourage them to move elsewhere. We'll look into it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, can I make a comment just on this?
Sure.
So would it make sense to have because there's definitely a problem, and I would agree, some sort of, like, I don't know, barge-free or mooring-free zone and establish it, and marinas can't violate it, and since we're doing a new WRP anyways, that would be, and then say, this is, this water's always, whatever, what do you want to
I don't think you can do that, and Ron and I had a conversation early summer, separately with an individual, and she was asking that there would be 50 feet off her docks was a, for like a variance. You cannot come 50 feet within her docks, and you cannot do that. The water belongs to everyone.
Right, but at the same token.
I don't think you,
Yeah.
well, we can look into it.
Yeah, it would be
I
worth.
just don't think you can do
And
that.
I'm actually talking the opposite, so like going from the actual, okay, you can't come out further than this. There can't be moorings out further than 50 feet or whatever the number is.
I don't know,
And,
I don't think we have, because the water belongs to New York State.
Right.
We don't necessarily have that right to say, you can do this and you can't, and where they can go.
yeah, and also it makes sense
But-
to raise our fees too. I mean, that's $300 for the year, it's ridiculous. You can't get a boat slip for $300.
Yeah, that's
The
true.
letter I just handed you, by the way, I was dropped off here for me. I presume I've never met Mr. Natale until yesterday, but I got this letter. I wanted to make sure you all have a copy of it, and I want to enter it into the record. I told him I would do that, and that basically it says what Neil just got done saying. So I went and visited him yesterday just to say, because he didn't leave me a phone number, I got your letter, I understand what you're saying, and I did take a look out in front of his place. I do think we have a short-term problem with that, and that is our ordinance says you're allowed to tie up one marine vessel to a mooring, and there's one with 3 out there on the same mooring, so that's not,
Okay, like you're saying,
That's
things like that
dangerous.
could
that's
be
actually
taken
dangerous.
care of.
And that's a step in the right
I
direction.
have a little experience with boats on moorings, some of it's not good, and they will drag if you put too much weight on them, and we don't need that kind of stuff going on, so that's something that has to be enforced by us, at least under the current situation, but as we talked about, we need to discuss how we're gonna go about this going forward.
Can I have a copy of the letter?
I just sent it down to you.
Oh, okay.
I also have the problem that
I have 5 copies
if
here.
you're out there at night and you're coming in, these barges aren't lit well enough.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Especially you can't tell where the dimensions of the beginning of the barge starts to where it ends. And we do a lot of fishing for walleyes at night, and we're coming in, and it's kind of scary at times.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are
Especially in the
rules
darker
at
nights.
night too, for mooring. There's rules they're supposed to follow. But, yeah.
Anyone else like to speak? Or he spoke for all of you? All right, thank you.
Just introduce yourself.
I can do that. You did a fine job. I'm Donnie Moore, that's my wife Lisa. We haven't been here 25 years, been here 3 years, so, fell in love with the place a couple
Thank you for
summers
coming.
ago.
Yes.
And, we, love our view, understand business, retired from it, so understand what people need to do, but, just, as long as y'all can keep it, the top of mind as we continue to expand business around here, especially Bayside. I mean, they've expanded a lot in just my little bit of time here. Good people, nothing personal against them, it's just, where do we stop? So, thank you.
You're absolutely correct, yes, thank you. Any other comments?
Okay, thanks.
Could I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And our next meeting will be in 3 weeks. Just that.
3 weeks.
And Mike, and again, I appreciate, I thank you for your time and letting us know that there's a meeting you can't come to, just let us know,
Yeah.
so we have a forum.
No, I'll try to. I'll do my time in some way.
And if I can, find someone else.
Well, yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
not gonna.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, you're, I'm sorry, I didn't read it. I wasn't reading.
Yes.
As it is now.
No, there isn't.
Are those electric that the kids are riding?
I was gonna ask.
She's 48 pounds, and I'm not kidding you, when it comes up to the chin. Very possible.
Building that's going out of the Lions field.
Might be, might be.
So it's gonna be a clubhouse, a storage.
Storage, bathroom, storage.
Storage, but not an activity.
Yeah, she said, oh my.
You're not gonna use it for all kids.
No, storage, maybe, I don't think we use it.
I don't know how well.
Great job again. They're not gonna go to the bathroom.
think they're in the bathroom.
I know, Jeff Seneca very well.
Yeah, I know, me too.
So, Laura Orvis I've been the director of the library how long?